Deshaun Watson is going to stay a Houston Texan. I'm saying this because one day after the Texans fired David Coley, they interviewed Brian Flores. Deshaun Watson was very high on Brian Flores. That's why he wanted to go to the Dolphins. That's why they're one of the teams he wanted to go and play for. Deshaun Watson has expressed his interest in Brian Flores, and Brian Flores has shown that he is a fan of Deshaun Watson. Also, players, the Texans GM was the Patriots director of player personnel from 2018 to 2020. That's Nick Caserio, so he had time working with Flores. So it's very likely that Flores will move in as the Texans head coach. I'm saying that that's what's going to happen. The Texans are going to bring in Brian Flores as their head coach, and this is going to make Deshaun Watson stay. Another thing that I could see happening is Will Fuller is a free agent again. The Dolphins signed him last year, possibly as a move to make it even more likely to bring in Deshaun Watson. They signed him to a 1 year, $50 million contract, and we're probably going to re-sign him if they went out and got Watson. Fuller played only one game due to injury. He had a couple injuries, missed a lot of time with a broken finger, and he was one of Watson's favorite targets in Houston. And now without Hopkins, he'll be his favorite target if they bring him back. And Will Fuller already has the experience of working with Flores, so that's also something that's fairly likely to happen. I think this is a great move for Houston. You get a good coach in Brian Flores, who was let go by the Miami Dolphins, and you keep your star quarterback. Depending on what happens with his legal issues and if the NFL suspends him, you have Davis Mills for a season. Davis Mills would be a very good backup. I think he's a starting caliber quarterback. And if you then get Deshaun Watson back, everything's cleared. He's all set, ready to play. You either have probably the best backup in the NFL in Davis Mills, or you can move Davis Mills. If guys like Sam Darnold are getting traded for 6 round picks, Davis Mills is worth at least a third rounder. I believe they drafted him in the third or fourth round, and he's probably worth more than that pick. Whether it was if they drafted him for a third, they could probably get a second out, in my opinion. I think a lot of teams are out there looking for a quarterback. I mean, even the Panthers again, they have struggled with Sam Darnold. Maybe you could move him to Detroit if they decide they want to go a different direction from Jared Goff. But they might end up having one of the better quarterback rooms in the NFL. You got 2 starting caliber quarterbacks. If Deshaun Watson's cleared and you still have Davis Mills on the roster, and Flores is going to have a decision to make, I'm 100% guaranteeing that if they're both cleared to play and everything's fine with Watson's issues, he's going to go with Watson because Watson's probably the better quarterback, and that'd be the reason they bring in Flores. But Davis Mills by no means is a bad quarterback, and what looked like last year, Houston was in one of the worst situations in the NFL. Houston's starting to look like they're in a really good situation. They've got 2 franchise caliber quarterbacks. They're potentially about to bring in a very good head coach, a coach who's 24 and 25 in 3 seasons in the NFL, and has shown how good he is at turning a defense with not a lot of talent into a really good defense and finding players in later rounds of the draft. We saw Brian Flores bring in some guys from New England, so I'm sure he's going to bring some guys to Houston if he goes from Miami. Player like Nick Needham, corner for the Dolphins, who's been very good. He was undrafted, and Flores brought him in, expressed his disinterest with the firing of Brian Flores, and he's a free agent this year. So if Flores goes to Houston, I'm sure Nick Needham's a guy that would follow. It'd be more likely for him to follow Flores to Houston than it would for him to re-sign with the Dolphins after what he tweeted after the Flores firing and his shock to it. I'm sure there's a lot of guys in the same boat as Nick Needham, a lot of guys that were interested in going to Miami in free agency because of the culture and because of what Brian Flores has built with that defense are probably looking at it like, oh, now we don't want to go here. Miami is still a cool city, but so is Houston. And if he's gonna bring that there, I want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of it. You've got a better quarterback in Deshaun Watson than Tua, so you're gonna attract more free agents that way. And that's why I think Deshaun Watson's gonna stay in Houston. I think Houston has just jumped themselves from one of the worst teams in the league to one of the better teams in the league. They were very close to making it to the Super Bowl a couple years ago with Watson and Bill O'Brien, and now with Watson, the defensive-minded head coach, Watson can take care of the offense. Flores is gonna take care of the defense, and this team's gonna be scary. They're in one of the weaker divisions in the NFL, and they'll be back as a powerhouse in the division in no time. Deshaun Watson is staying in Houston.